going to talk about The Last of Us for at least a few minutes here to end our episode of the Super Game Brothers weekly podcast. I guess just really quickly, do you like that game? That's a bad question. How much do you like the game? Is it like top 10 for you? Is it like...
I think it's got to be top 10 for me.
Yeah.
And I like unique... I wouldn't say I like unique games, but my top 5 list is very odd. You got Bloodborne up there, maybe Destiny 2. Resident Evil franchise, absolutely. Horror games.
Mm-hmm.
What else have I played? Lies of P. Very Souls-like games.
Yeah.
This
kind of gameplay heavy.
Yeah, this is different. There's a lot of story, and the story's great. Once again, they made the game intentionally hard and spooky and awesome. There's a lot of money that's gone into this game, obviously.
Yeah, you can tell, like, just the amount of time they spend on the crazy technology that they have in the the upgrade system with the benches and all of the gore.
All of the gore.
Like, tried to be like fairly accurate as well, so it's pretty nuts. I agree. The Last of Us is one of my favorite games ever. My list is also weird. Like, I would have Spelunky in there and probably Rocket League as well, because I am mostly like a gameplay focused gamer as well. I like independent games like, Enter the Gungeon that just play really well. There's no story in Enter the Gungeon, really. I think there technically is, but as far as like story based games, I don't even know if you'd call it story based, where story is a big factor, then I think The Last of Us is my favorite, probably. It's up there with Red Dead 2, and I think it's quite a bit above like even God of War and God of War Ragnarok, which I really like as well.
I strongly agree with that.
Yeah. And I think it's because it kind of has like the HBO quality, and that like, hey, we're not going to pull any punches. Like, we're going to make this brutal, and we're going to make you ask yourself tough questions by putting our characters in very precarious scenarios. It's going to be rough to watch at times, and it'll like make you have some introspection and thinking of like, man, I have no idea what I would do in that situation. And it kind of takes you to like the extremes of humanity. Kind of like, okay, if I really cared about somebody, what would I do for them in these crazy circumstances? Or if I really hated somebody, what would I do in these circumstances? And it's been really fun to watch the show again with my wife. We watched the first season a couple weeks ago, again in preparation for season 2, and she absolutely loves it, which is very gratifying and cool to me, because I don't know, I tried to get her into the game back in 2013 when it came out.
Yeah.
But there's just that's a bit of a barrier for people that don't play a lot of games, like to jump in that way. So anyways, that was kind of a long-winded answer. I think it's the highest of quality that video games have been to this point. Love it. So today, after that kind of long intro, we're just going to talk about the first 2 episodes of season 2 of HBO show, and just generally kind of what we think about it, what we like about the changes that they made, and yeah, that kind of stuff. So what are your thoughts kind of on the show at the first season? Did you enjoy the first season of the show?
I did a lot. I should go back and rewatch it, to be honest, to remember more. But from what I remember most was every time that there was an episode, I left going, I can't wait till the next one.
Yeah.
This was, once again, like the game, extremely high quality.
Yeah.
And exciting, and yes, very good. That's my thoughts.
I agree. And it made me like appreciate and hate the way that HBO releases their episodes, which is weekly. They don't release it in a batch like Netflix does to binge or whatever, because you just want to watch the next one immediately.
Oh my goodness. I'm always tempted to just wait 8 weeks.
I know. and
Except
then
I'll
watch it
see
all.
everything on social media.
Yep, that's the hard part. It would definitely be spoiled.
They lock you in week after
Yeah.
week.
I think the first season's also excellent. It's hard. I can't tell if this is just the video game part of David, like trying to defend it. I do think the games are both better than the seasons of the show. I'm not sure if it's just the amount of time you have. Like with the game, you've got a bit more time. Like the second game's like 30 hours long, and the first game is like, I don't know, 15 to 20. And the first season has 9 episodes that are like 45 minutes on average, probably. And the second season is only going to have 7, but it doesn't cover the whole story. So I think the time helps. And yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's probably just a little bit of like protectionism of the game. There is one change. They made quite a few changes. Like, some like, characters like look slightly different or a different race or whatever, and that's totally fine. I don't really even care about that at all. The one change that I always did think was weird though, and I'm very curious to see how they'll handle it in season 2. I guess as we start here to talk more about in-depth things, we should obviously say we're going to spoil both the game and the episodes.
Oh, we're going all in. We're just going open.
Okay. Yeah. So these conversations won't be super long, just kind of like little fun little things about what we thought, but spoilers galore. So here's your warning. In the first season of the HBO show, they do change how the virus spreads a little bit, in that they show like the fibers, like the fibrous tissue is like coming out of the zombies' mouths a bit in the show, whereas in the game, it's primarily spores in the air. Like when you go into a location that has spores in the game, they're always putting those gas masks on to protect themselves from breathing in the spores. They talked about this in the first season. Well, not in the show, but like the creators said, like, we didn't want to have gas masks on the people's faces for a lot of the season. So that's like one reason. And so that was one reason for the change. And we thought this idea of them all being connected through these fibers, and if like one of them sees you, it can like alert through the fibers in the ground, like big masses of them, which we saw a bit even in episode 2 this week.
Yeah.
So I think it's a cool change. There is one thing that bugs me about it. A very important moment to me in the second season, or the second game, is when Abby goes with Dina, and I think they're on their way to Seattle. Try and find Abby.
Ellie goes with Dina.
Did I say Abby?
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
sorry.
like, I don't remember.
Yeah, Abby and Dina are BFFs. No, Ellie and Dina, and they have to go like through this building, and there are spores, and so they have their gas masks on, and Ellie's gets broken. It has like a big crack or like break in it. And at that point, Ellie hasn't told Abby that she's immune. And so in that moment, Dina says, like, Abby, your mask, hurry, take mine, we'll share, and is about to take hers off, which probably would have ended up killing her. And so Ellie has to like hurry and convince her that she's immune on the spot while there are spores like flying everywhere. That's like an important scene. And so I hope that they can do something as impactful with the fibrous tissue, but I don't know how they will.
Interesting.
So that one has always bugged me a little bit. Even though I don't hate the change, I don't think I would want them to keep everything exactly the same, or else then I should just play the game. So I like the changes they've generally made, but that one I've always been like, what are they going to do? And that's probably next week's episode, or Sunday's episode.
Yeah.
So we'll see, maybe even on Sunday.
Before we
How
dive
they
into
handle
each episode, I have one question for you.
Okay. Oh,
You mentioned you like the games more. Do you think you would like the games more if the show had come out first?
yeah, that's a very good point. And actually one that it's a great question.
Thanks.
So on point. There's, even with the same developer, Naughty Dog, they made Uncharted 2, which was like a revolution at the time. Like, wow, we didn't realize going from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2 was like a huge jump, like one game of the year. People loved it. And then Uncharted 3 came out. It's also excellent. I might like it slightly more. But it didn't do quite as well. And Naughty Dog and even Neil Druckmann, who wrote The Last of Us and is directing it with Craig Mazin for HBO, said that we think Uncharted 3 people would have generally liked it better if it came out before number 2.
Oh.
And so you kind of do have that bias towards the thing that is already out.
You do, yeah. That's
So,
just how it is.
Yep, it is. And so I think you're probably right. I think that's a big part of why I like the game better. I do just think like when you're playing it and kind of doing those crazy acts of violence yourself, like it hits a little bit harder. But it does hit hard in the TV show too. So I don't know.
It does, yeah. And people complain about the character's appearance being different, but if season 2 of the show would have come out first and we've seen who's playing Abby, and then you go and play the game and you get this jacked chick, you'd be like, I don't like this jacked chick.
Exactly. If it went the other direction,
yes,
you'd be mad at that one.
We just like to complain. You know, it's human nature.
Yeah, and that's why I generally try to give them the benefit of the doubt with the changes. And we'll get to that's probably one of the first things I wanted to just talk about here.
Oh, right, yeah.
With the first episode, I think it followed pretty closely, like the intro to part 2, the game. I was actually surprised at how closely it followed it. I thought they were going to change the structure pretty drastically to make Joel's death be like I think we talked about this last week, at the end of the season or at some different time. Because that was very shocking in the game for them to kill him like in the first hour and a half, and then you've got 28 hours of playing with him dead. I didn't think they would dare to do it. And they don't do it in the first episode, but they almost do it with the same timeline. So I was kind of surprised.
I also was surprised to take such a big, loved actor out of the show that early on in your second season. Because so many people are attached to him.
Mm-hmm.
They love him so much. You almost want to draw that out.
Yeah.
So that he's acting in more and more and more episodes because of the connection you have to.
Yep. They'll have him in quite a few more flashbacks, but you're right. And while we're here, I guess it's probably just a good time to talk about it. That was my wife hasn't played the second game, and I've tried really hard not to tell her anything about it. So she didn't know.
Oh boy, how'd this go?
That it was coming. And we're a little picky with like content we watch sometimes. We've actually not watched Game of Thrones, which I know is pretty well known for this. Like they'll kill anyone, like even characters that you really love. Like I think Ned Stark is the guy played by Sean Bean, if I remember correctly. Sean Bean's character, the main character of the first season, they kill him at the end of the first season. So they kill everybody all the time. So anybody that's watched like HBO shows, I think kind of knows that. But having not watched that, and Lacey knowing him and Ellie are the two main characters, even at the point when he is laying on the ground looking like mashed potatoes of a human,
she wouldn't believe it.
She didn't think she thought Ellie was about there to save him.
Yeah.
Even, and so in that moment when Abby stabs him, she was like, wait, what? They're not going to kill Joel. And so I think it probably was really shocking for a lot of people.
I didn't like watching that. It weirded me out.
It's brutal. I can't decide which way is more brutal. In the game, obviously, she does it differently with the golf club. But they kind of move the camera just barely outside of like the impact zone where she hits him in the head. Whereas in the show, they didn't. And I think it's because they wanted that scene of like Bella Ramsey crawling over to him and kind of laying there with him for a second. Which, I mean, we kind of jumped right there to the
we sure
biggest
did.
moment.
We sure did.
But anyways, I think my point there was, what was my point there? What were we talking about? The changes, and then
they'll kill off anybody.
And
the end.
And the end, yeah. So we kind of talked about that. We'll loop back around to that in a minute. But all right, going back, I don't know that we have to talk about an episode at a time, but any changes like throughout the first couple episodes that you did like, or any that you didn't like? The one, I think I liked most of the changes. Joel looks older in the show, I thought, than in the game. it didn't come across quite as old in the game for some reason. He has like the glasses on the tip of his nose
Yeah.
when he's doing the architecture stuff. I was like, oh wow, he looks like an old man there. Which that wasn't much of a change. He seems to like be buddy buddy with Dina a little bit. They watch movies and stuff. So it's cool to see some different context there on some of those things. He's obviously in therapy with I forget her name, the mom from Schitt's Creek and Home Alone and Beetlejuice, who I love.
Mrs. McAllister.
Yeah, Catherine O'Hara. Is that her name? I think. Yeah, Mrs.
I have
McAllister.
no idea.
I think that's her name. I love her, so I'm totally happy with her being in the show.
Yeah, he looks old. Ellie will always look the same. It seems like
that a lot of people have given her crap for that. But I'm like, again, she was already an adult playing a teenager in the first season. She didn't grow up anymore in the last couple years between when they filmed, so I try not to hold that against her. I would have liked,
Yeah, it didn't bother me either. Just an observation.
Yeah, and that's one a lot of people have. People can't be happy with anything. Like, man, she's an actress who is not a video game character that in a fake story. So obviously she didn't grow up like the video game character in the fake story did.
Yeah.
So
I like a lot of the similarities, like Abby crawling under the fence as it's falling down.
That was an intense scene, yeah.
Very similar to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Almost identical, to be honest.
Yeah.
She comes around the corner, finally like gets caught, and Joel's
Joel
there.
Saves her. Yeah.
Exactly. The dancing section of the game where Ellie chews out.
Yeah, that scene was almost shot for shot identical, which I think was important because that's a very like famous scene with the lights, everything. They almost say the exact same dialogue too. Really,
I dislike Ellie in that moment. Drives me nuts. I just feel so bad for him.
I know,
because he loves her so much.
Yep.
And she like publicly just like humiliates him after he was trying to defend her. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a hard moment where she's still dealing with him finally like kind of telling her the truth. And luckily we'll see some more flashbacks that'll kind of make that be a little less dark. But yeah, that's a tough part. Yeah, I don't know that there's a ton more I wanted to hit on here. In the second episode, one of the big changes is they made this big horde like hit Jackson at the same time that all this stuff happens with Joel and Abby.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, it kind of distracts from that one event, from Joel's death and Abby's group being there. Just kind of perfectly happens at the same time. So for like at the beginning I was like, I don't know if I like that. But thinking about it some more, I'm like, well, it does kind of capture some more of like the zombie like fights that you would have had if you were playing the game. And so tonally I think it kind of gets you to the same point anyways, even though this big like battle doesn't happen at the gates of the city like it does there.
I had one thought when the zombie horde is mobbing towards Jackson.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's a character that says, is it real people or infected? And someone says it's infected. That's who's running towards our city. And in my mind, I was like, oh, they're probably way less scared now because infected are dumb and they're not that intense. What I thought was cool about that scene is it showed how intense the infected are. They were almost bundling together like World War Z.
Yeah, almost. Just
going up the wall, having so much of an impact on this door and this mass amount of them, and they're not slow.
Yeah, and the bloater just kind of smashes through.
In the game, you don't really fight that many at a time.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe the impact they had to just bust right into Jackson and just start taking people out.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I was like, okay, they are a threat.
Yeah. They've definitely tried to make them seem smarter in the first couple episodes by introducing the stalkers, which they do in the game too. But and then with this part where like the bloater's like deciding like which person to attack, like kind of like based on who's like either being the loudest or whatever, because Tommy like purposely yells at it to distract it or whatever. So yeah, it does seem like they're leaning into that a bit more with the fibers and like, okay, they are kind of smart and interconnected and they attack together and can kind of think together through these like fibers, and they do seem scarier in that way. So it is cool in a TV show, again, where you're not playing for it to feel like the stakes have been raised. They feel more dangerous than they did last season.
To me, they feel much more dangerous.
Yeah.
Because if that was a group of 300 people with weapons, that would have seemed way scarier before they started breaking in.
Yeah.
It'd have been like, how are we going to defend this?
Mm-hmm.
And they got up on their wall and they're all shooting at the same time. And it's like, you can take a bunch out, but there's so many and they're so aggressive that even this barrier we've built just stood no chance. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I was shocked by it.
It was. And I like since they went this slightly different path, I really like how well they thought it out. Like, okay, these people would have had great preparations. They knew like to get the women and children down into safer places.
Hide on the roofs.
And then kind of the big wall that they have with those little tracks that they push down to push the barrels of gasoline down. It's like a cool, like they've planned for this a bit, which was cool to see. So even though it was a change from the game, I didn't have a problem with it at all. What'd you think about Tommy's one-on-one fight with the bloater and the flamethrower?
Oh man, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
It referred back to the game. It's like, okay, he's out of every ammo type. Let me switch to the worst gun in the game, the flamethrower.
Yeah.
And with my last piece of fuel, hope that he takes burning tick damage before he gets to me.
Right, because that's like literally what happened. He's like walking over to him and dies before he gets him.
So I liked it well enough.
Yeah, I did too. It was fine. They wanted their big action sequence, and for this episode to kind of be like lots of craziness and death, and then obviously Joel's thing, which is another thing. So yeah, I liked it as well. I thought for a second they might kill Tommy or Maria. She seemed really in trouble for a second as well there too, but they both survived, which is kind of crazy. That was another big change they did. In the game, Joel is out with Tommy when he finds Abby. And Ellie is with Dina. In the show, Ellie's with... What's his name? There's so many characters, I forgot his name. The one that was dating Dina before Ellie started dating.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know the name.
His name is escaping me. But yeah, then Dina's with Joel when they find Ellie. And this is another thing I'm excited to see how they cover it next episode, because after Abby kills Joel, Tommy was the one that was there. And even though they like knock him out, like he's the one that wakes up to Joel being dead with Ellie there too.
And they drag him back behind the horse. Or wait, that's the show. That's the
show. Yeah, it kind of blends together. But then after a few days, Ellie and Tommy have buried Joel, and they decide they're going to leave the next morning, and Tommy leaves without her first and goes to Seattle alone. And tries to get revenge kind of first by himself. And that's like a very important part of season 2, is like Tommy being like, Ellie and Dina are trying to find Tommy out there so that they can kind of work together, because he's already been there. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here. Tommy, is he still going to leave first? Dina was there. That kind of helps with Dina and Ellie's relationship probably a bit, because they both like went through this really hard thing right there together, whereas she wasn't there in the game. So I was intrigued by that choice. Maybe it seemed like they wanted Tommy back at the camp to like be in charge of like the fight at the gate and with the flamethrower killing the bloater. And maybe that's the only reason why maybe when they get to camp, Tommy will have the same reaction and leave anyways. But I did think that was interesting that they changed that. How do you like Abby so far?
Big fan.
Yeah.
Really am. I've seen the actress in many other things.
Okay, I haven't seen her in anything, but I know she was in a few other TV shows.
Yeah.
Yellow Jackets, maybe?
Ooh.
Maybe I'm mixing it up.
I don't know if she's in Yellow Jackets. Anyways.
She's in some other stuff.
She's good. I think she's good at acting. Doesn't bother me that she's not massive.
No, me neither at all.
Yeah, I really like her. And on that same note, I really like the actress for Dina as well.
Yeah, she's great. She has I like the actress that played Dina in the game too, but I do feel like Dina in the show is like the more energetic and like the one that draws like the audience's attention more than even Ellie does, kind of. She's like the more engaging one, kind of, in like the happy way. Ellie's engaging in like the dark and revengeful way. But so yeah, I don't know. I agree. I really like Abby. I don't think that her not being massively ripped has any negative bearing on the show. In fact, I think it's almost like cooler that like the rest of the group there is still afraid of her and like respects her, even though she's not huge.
It is crazy because in all of their heads, they're like, "This is a dumb plan. Let's just go back to safety."
Right.
Like it's over and done. Let's stop chasing revenge.
And even until Owen tells her hurry and finish it, like nobody has stood up to her like at any point really there. So yeah, I think that she gets the same vibe across just by like emotionally being like the leader, not even though she's not like physically scary.
What'd you think about this?
Okay.
You really are attractive. Good for you. Or something. Or something like that.
Yeah, that was kind of an odd line.
I've just seen videos about it, so I was just curious.
I think they added it because they wanted to like reinforce that they had only heard like some scarce details about
Joel. So this
Joel.
confirms they're killing the right person.
Yeah, that like, okay, he's in his 60s, his name is Joel.
The scar.
He's got the scar. He's like a fairly attractive man. And so by putting all those pieces together and then him finally saying, yeah, I saw them in Salt Lake, like, okay, now we know we got the right person. So I think it kind of makes sense, but it was kind of she went on quite a diatribe there for a minute.
Yeah, I didn't think anything of it when I first watched it. And then I've seen all these videos and they're like, we should take this line out. I was like, oh, interesting.
That is hard. Any one line in like any piece of fiction, if you just look at it by itself, can seem weird.
Yeah, or cringy.
Right. But in the context of the scene, I thought I was like, I didn't think anything too weird about it. I was like, okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought she acted that scene really well. It's obviously a very sad and brutal scene. It'll be interesting to see how she acts the rest of Abby's like emotional scenes, because she has many more with all of her friends, deaths, and then with Lev and Yara, and then with the Rattlers and almost like starving and dying there, which obviously won't be handled in this season. But so hopefully she seems like she has the acting chops to handle all of those things so far. But so yeah, I don't know. First 2 episodes in, I feel like they're crushing it again.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just see too many shows that don't have this budget and this much depth where you can really notice, whoa, this is something special, whether it's perfect or not.
And whether it's, very dark and violent. And some people won't like that. They'll want a story that's a little more happy, has a cleaner ending.
Yeah, I don't think our mom would like this that much.
Oh, no, definitely not. But it, again, it's kind of gratifying to me to even my wife, who does love a clean, happy ending and a love story, like she is thoroughly engrossed, and like this is the show that she wants to watch right now. And like she has wanted to talk about the episode and like, did they really kill Joel? Like all week. Like so it's just gripping. Like it really is. So I don't know that I have much else to talk about. I think the first 2 episodes are excellent. 2 great episodes of TV. Any other highlights you wanted to hit, Devin, as we close here?
No, we touched most of it. I do have one question though about your wife and her thoughts on the show.
Okay.
Did you give her enough information to confirm to her that he is gone, or does she still have hope?
Oh, no, I confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking she might be going into episode 3 going,
he's coming back. There's
a chance.
I wonder how many people do think that.
It's a good point. Yeah.
But
they've seen so many shows where the impossible happens.
Right, or they bring somehow Palpatine returned.
I missed that guy.
So yeah, I'm glad they're not going to pull those shenanigans. But yep, I did tell her that. And again, she almost couldn't believe it. But I think it's just because people aren't used to shows that, are so willing to be brutal and kill their main characters. So anyways, I think that's going to do it here for our discussion of the first 2 episodes of HBO's The Last of Us Season 2. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Please check out our Patreon to check out the rest of the coverage of the episodes this season. That's patreon.com/supergamebrothers. And you can get all kinds of perks there, including early access to those episodes and the other episodes of the podcast where we talk about board games and video games every single week. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the coverage for episode 3.